Hello, welcome to the Esoteric Survivalist. Brief discussions on esoteric possibility when the esoteric reality is stark and hostile. So we live in a world that parallels, to me at least, this world parallels a physical hostile environment, but on the spiritual level. Imagine you're thrown on a mountaintop in the middle of a snowstorm, naked, with water thrown on you, a bucket of water, and then it turns to ice on you. Well, you die. But a survivalist would take care in a way to be able to prepare so they don't find themselves naked on the mountaintop. So they prepare for the storm. So they take advantage of the resources of nature around them to be able to build a shelter, to hunt, and whatever. But these are special skills that we're not born with them. On the other hand, if we can take it to the spiritual point of view, one would also need special skills to brave an environment where mental toxicity abounds, where uncertainty abounds, where depression seems to be an epidemic, and there are many things happening that are confusing or otherwise disheartening in this world. So, like I said, I'm not getting into socially controversial things, even individually controversial things. I am getting into esoteric understanding from that perspective. And that perspective says that a harsh environment, a spiritually harsh environment where your consciousness is directly affected, and then that affects your emotions and your nature and everything, and then there's a feedback loop with negativity and emotions, the nature, the physical encounters, everything, and it comes right back to your consciousness, and you become either debilitated or you adapt and become less empathic, less humane, maybe more selfish, maybe because you have to. Maybe you encounter bullying a lot and you have to adapt somehow. And if you don't want to lose your soul, you'll end up sacrificing something else. So we're in an environment, for whatever reason, the reasons do not matter. We're dealing with a situation. We're in an environment that demands or asks of us if we can do anything with our consciousness, anything with our sense of energy and presence, to affect ourselves and the world in a way where we can make it through this hostile dynamic, this antagonistic dynamic, this uncertain or unhealthy dynamic. That doesn't mean every solution is going to be solved, but it does give some kind of advantage to get into a position where you can make it through, because when you are surviving, your options may be few, but you will live through the situation, so at some point you can increase your options. You will have the space to do that. You will have the fortitude and the psychic health to do that. You may have the inspiration and insight to do that as well. So another thing is that just like physical survivalist methods, you need to be in shape. So esoteric survivalism is not a pessimistic view where everything is harsh and terrible, we gotta just barely make it. It might seem that way, and it is to somebody who's not used to it, and I could even present it that way initially. So I would like to clarify, esoteric survivalism is like working out in an extreme dynamic physically, only it is psychic. So you will become stronger. You will cultivate a psychic immune system. A psychic immune system keeps out the negatives, shall we say. We won't say what the negatives are, spirits or this or that. That's for a podcast or my Substack writings. This here is going to, maybe we can talk about things of the unseen that pass off as spirits, entities or whatever. The point is maintaining our integrity. This is just like you need to maintain your health and your stamina in a physical survivalist situation. You need to maintain your psychic integrity, because that is the bastion of your consciousness. That means that you can be possessed right now, and that consciousness is one without integrity. Now, it can be that way because survival fears and being cajoled, and everybody has the so-called weakness. It's a weakness, and those are imbalances due to other things. So that is not a crime. As a sin, it's almost like, well, you can tell any celestial being, you come down here and do it better. Because unless you are a being that has expelled all of the negative consciousness from themselves, from the mind, so to speak, from the body-mind, and replaced it with what you might call healthy consciousness, you can't really talk. But the thing is, so you would be like a Jesus Christ character in the ideal, if the stories are true. But there is also a point where, we are fallible human beings. The affliction here that I talk about, what causes the malaise, is hatred. And sometimes it's not obvious. So the anatomy of hatred extends into the scapegoats of hatred, which I would call the 7 deadly sins. Whether you agree with the model or not, it's convenient in the esoteric sense because of the number 7 and the power of 4 and 3 that you can divide the numbers. You can separate 4 plus 3 is 7, and 4 represents the earth element, 3 represents the fire element, or an energy. 3 is energetic, 4 is static, stable, grounded. So you've got the sins that are the body of the situation, of the malaise, and you have the sins that are the energy of the malaise. And this correlates with the Christic notion of the body and blood of Christ, which correlate with bread and wine. These are metaphors. So you can actually tune into the life force, which you associate as the blood of a being, but at the same time register it as wine, because wine intoxicates, and this is to tell your person that this is an intoxicating energy. And this energy is the lifeblood of a Christed being, for example. And you can tune into it through your attention, because we all have it within ourselves. So the esoteric survivalist is going to get into not religion per se, but the esoteric underpinnings of it, because they hold many, many clues regarding making it through spiritually difficult times. And it's not just the difficult times because our lives are bad, but because the very atmosphere is corrupted, the consciousness atmosphere. I'm not talking physical, even emotional and all of that, and energetic. When we suffer, we expel toxins, so to speak. We vibrate in a toxic way. That is our suffering. You stop the suffering, the toxins are going to stop. So there's no blame or punishment in that. Hatred is an affliction that we remove from creation, people, places, things, etc., ourselves and the environment. It needs to be recognized, but not exoterically. It needs to be recognized from an esoteric point of view if you want your psychic immune system to get stronger, if you want to bring fortune into your life, a natural fortune, the one you should be having, if you want to be free of parasites in your relationship, parasitic people, emotionally parasitic people, for example, and many other things. If you want greater insight, if you want greater discernment, all of these things are like tools and skills that a survivalist can learn. And you don't really need the extreme meditative dynamics. You need balanced ones. But you do need to understand your own psychology. You need to come to terms with it and say, okay, I'm an ass because I can't help it, because circumstances are this or that or the other, but what am I going to do about it? I don't like being an ass. If I like being an ass, it's a whole other story. Then it's another discussion and a completely different topic. But if I don't like being an ass, and I know the difference between not being an ass and doing one, but I don't want to repress myself. I don't want to conform. I don't want to be fit in a box. Don't. I want to be free. Can I be a free but not be an ass? And at the same time, can my life change for the better because I'm not an ass? Well, no, not being an ass isn't good enough. That's a negative. So there needs to be something positive in there. And I'm not talking about enforced behavior. I am talking about a change of mind. mind changes its values of what it accepts. This doesn't have to be a spiritual change at this point, but your mind itself can say, this doesn't feel right anymore. I don't like this anymore. And your reason is going to say, well, no, that is what you have to like, what you have to do, and all of that. The mind needs to change, and that is called repentance in Christic ideology. So, that is enough for today. It is many, many things to chew, even though it doesn't seem like I said much. Tune in next time for the next installment of The Esoteric Survivalist. As it stands, your friendly neighborhood Magus bids you a fond adieu, and Magus out.